So welcome. My name is Sarah Dickin, and I'm a research fellow at SEI. I want to thank you all for joining today. The topic for today's webinar is anticipating the next wave of e-learning in the WASH sector. And I welcome you to think about some questions during the presentation so that we can have a good discussion at the end. Before we get started, I want to mention that this webinar is being hosted by the Stockholm Environment Institute and the SuSanA Secretariat. This is part of a grant to SEI funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This is part of a recurring series that we're doing. So if you're interested in discussing your work or presenting some of your projects, please get in touch with me. We also want you to be able to participate in the webinar today. So you can turn on your mic at the top, the green buttons, or your webcam. During the presentations, I'll turn off the audio rights, but then during the discussion, you can either write a question in the chat window or you can turn on your mic and participate that way. So now I will introduce the speakers who are joining us today. First, we have Fabian Suter, and he is the coordinator of the MOOC-series at Sandec-Eawag. And we also will have Dr. Christoph Lüdi, who is the department head at Sandec-Eawag and the main lecturer of the MOOC on planning and design of sanitation systems and technologies. They're based at Eawag, which is the Swiss Federal Institute of Aquatic Science and Technology, and Sandec is the department that focuses on low and middle income countries. So with that, we'll get started with Fabian, and we'll move to the slides. So please take it away.
Yeah. Okay, welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and we would like to talk today about the e-learning, about the next wave of e-learning, but share first some insights about our MOOC series, which we have developed at Sandec, especially about our experience, weaknesses, but also strengths of MOOC. And then Christoph Lüdi will join me to then speak about the next wave of e-learning. So welcome to this webinar, and then also glad to discuss with you topics around e-learning in the next. And thank you, Sarah, also for introducing us. I think the most important thing is said. Working at Eawag in Switzerland, I'm coordinating the MOOC series, and then Christoph Lüdi is also highly involved in that series as a lecturer, but then also as head of department. I think he'll join me in a minute, but I will continue until he arrives alone. And that's a typical image of a MOOC. So we have here Christoph Lüdi on a computer desk and a student somewhere in the world taking a class. And when you talk about e-learning today, it's important to talk about MOOCs, because like 4 years ago, New York Times announced 2012 as the year of the MOOC, and they had 1 million enrolled students. Nowadays, it's already over 40 million students which are taking MOOCs. So they had a huge impact on global level. And there was also a huge debate about the MOOCs. And there are different positions around MOOC. One of them is visualized in this image, which is the book printing machine of Mr. Gutenberg, invented and developed in the 15th century. And at that time, it was a revolution. It gave access to thousands of people to education, to literature, which before they didn't. So at that time, it was mainly the Bible who was printed. It's a bit different today, but there are people who are saying MOOCs are democratizing education, providing access worldwide to people which didn't have access to education before. There are other people, they saying MOOCs are emptying the classrooms. So it's not about democracy, it's rather about monopoles. So that the education which was provided before by thousands of universities and schools in thousands of cities is now concentrated and developed by a few top universities and streamlined from there. And both positions have their arguments, and I think it's interesting also to debate later on what's the real use, what are the pitfalls of MOOCs. Is it really the way forward? How can we use this next wave of e-learning to avoid pitfalls of MOOCs? For us, first of all, sorry, I didn't mention what actually is a MOOC. So for those of you who are not familiar, it's a massive open online course. And it's a broad term for us in the WASH sector or at Sandec. Massive is meaning 5,000 to 30,000 learners. Open is meaning free, constantly online, on a MOOC platform as Coursera, but also on YouTube. And a course of about 5 weeks, which students can then earn a statement of accomplishment. There are other MOOCs, for example, Learning How to Learn with over 1 million students, which is crazy. In one course, over 1 million students. And there are further courses, mainly programming courses with 500,000, 700,000 students. So we are far away from that numbers, but it's another league, it's another topic. Most of the courses are free, but several courses, they request around $50, for example, to get a certificate. So open up means always completely open. Online can be on various platforms, and the courses are mostly between 5 to 14 weeks, mostly covering a semester lecture or a bit less. What you see below, it's our lecturers in the studio, and then the same picture as before. So it's a bit similar in all the MOOCs. So it's online production, online streaming of video production, which is nothing new. So distance learning and e-learning have been existing before. So the question is, what's different with MOOCs that they had such a huge impact? And one key strength is the academic recognition. So behind MOOCs, there are top world-class universities. Here you see a print screen, just a few of them. Maybe the size of the font is a bit small, but it's MIT, it's Harvard, universities from Europe, from China, from Japan, with their academic recognition, producing courses according to their standards. I'd like to show you another slide, which is a slide showing US universities and their ranking and the number of MOOCs they are producing. I think it shows nicely who are the players who are producing a lot of MOOCs. Here you see it's Johns Hopkins, it's Princeton. It's like the top ranks, and not so much St. Louis, Auburn, or then universities which are a bit more behind in that specific rank. Just as a short introduction to the strengths, I would like to continue with this. I call them the Silicon Valley platforms. So I mentioned here Coursera and edX, two of the big MOOC platforms. So there you have really this Silicon Valley spirit, programming people working with their spirit to make a user-friendly learning experience. So it's not perfect yet, but it's flexible in time, for example. No need to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you're in the wrong time zone. You can take a course whenever you want. You can take it from your tablet, from your mobile phone, from your computer. It's this kind of programming skills which these people bring in to make the learning experience more user-friendly. And they managed to sign these contracts with all these academically well experienced institutes with these top universities and bringing them together on one platform. So a student can go to one platform and select between course offers from different world-class universities. And they also manage to bring global learning community together. So even in our course, which is relatively small, let's say with 5,000, 10,000 students, we have students from all over the world, which I think is also nice as a learning experience. The last one is free education. One back. It's free education, meaning that it's not necessary anymore to pay $1,000, $2,000 to get a 5 weeks course, but actually you get the courses for free, mostly for free, and if needed, maximum $50 for most of the MOOCs, not for all of them. But I think makes a huge difference also in the wash sector, or in low and middle income countries, where not everyone is in a position to pay $800,000 for a 5 weeks class. So with that, I would like to close the chapter a bit about the MOOCs. It's just a really rough and broad overview, and go more precisely to our series, which is Sanitation, Water, and Solid Waste for Development. So you see here our 4 courses. We started the series like 3 years ago with the idea to have a high quality education offer for students, mainly in low and middle income countries, which is accessible and free, and started to produce modules around water, sanitation planning, and solid waste management, plus fecal studies. At this moment, I would like to show you a little trailer of our upcoming MOOC, which is the planning and design of sanitation systems and technologies, which will start in a week. And I hope you will enjoy the trailer. It's just 2.5 minutes.
In charge of improving the sanitation situation in your city with low-income neighborhoods, such as this one in Nairobi. And you ask yourself, where do I even start? You're not the only one. Urban sanitation is complex. Different urban contexts mean different sanitation challenges. These challenges often need to be addressed with different sanitation systems or management schemes. How do we tackle this complexity and enable citywide inclusive sanitation solutions? This is what this MOOC is all about. This course is produced in collaboration with the World Bank and the World Health Organization.
Cities are not homogeneous, especially in low and middle income countries. We can differentiate between 3 different contexts: the middle and high income settlements, the informal settlements, and the peri-urban interface. How to provide sanitation services to each of these contexts?
In this course, you will learn about state-of-the-art sanitation planning approaches, like Sanitation 21,
Dealing with citywide planning,
clues,
focusing on informal settlements and communities,
and the World Bank City Service Delivery Assessment Tools, and WHO's Sanitation Safety Plans.
Plus, we will also feature some best practice case studies from Africa, Asia, and Latin America.
Stakeholders and institutions are key to urban sanitation. You will learn how to bring them on board in a participatory process in order to achieve citywide inclusive sanitation.
But how do we actually choose proper sanitation systems? Building on the compendium of sanitation systems and technologies, we will get an overview of the different technologies adapted to this context and how to systematically combine them into proper sanitation systems. We will cover the entire sanitation chain, from the user interface,
For example, using this squat plate,
collection and storage, conveyance, transport, treatment, and finally, disposal and use.
for example, using this urine-based fertilizer.
Or these dry sludge pellets made out of fecal sludge.
Interested in learning all about urban sanitation theory and practice? Then this course is for you. Eawag-Sandec is partnering with EPFL to bring you a full series of online courses. This is the Eawag webpage where you can get links to our whole MOOC series on sanitation, water, and solid waste for development. All courses are offered with French and Spanish subtitles. Other subtitles are available for this course, such as Hindi. Check out for more.
Et, chers collègues francophones, ce cours est aussi disponible avec doublage en français en plus des sous-titres.
Please join us. You're only one click away from registering.
Okay. this was a little PR spot for our upcoming MOOC. Hope to see you there. And was also a bit the idea to give an impression about how we produce a video, how it looks like. And we'll actually like to start with the part of the presentation which might be most interesting for you, which is actually the insights about this series, to give you some numbers. I can imagine that some of you are also involved already in the production of educational courses, might be MOOC or a different setting. That the upcoming slides might be interesting to see where we are and what are our lessons learned, which we would like to share also with you. And here on this slide, I named it the potential for the WASH sector. It just shows what we have achieved so far. And basically we have launched 3 courses, and you can see that the enrollment of the students is highly different from course to course. So it varies from 6,000 to 25,000. And this difference is mainly due to the different setup of the courses. So the sanitation course was just launched once during 5 weeks with English audio plus English and French subtitles, while the solid waste management course is now offered constantly since 7 months, and we had French, Spanish, English subtitles, and reaching therefore a much broader. It's important to have as many course completers as possible, but it's also okay if, for example, a practitioner decides to watch a certain part of the MOOC. Let's say in solid waste MOOC is only interested in composting and watches 3-4 videos, which helps him to manage a project or to find some important literature, and then doesn't continue. And if it helps him for his career, that's okay. So it's not every student who doesn't complete the course is a lost student, to say so. So from our point of view, we reach the numbers we would like to reach, but then the next question is if we also manage to reach the people we want to reach, which is mainly people in low and middle income countries in our case. And that's the nice thing, which was a bit surprising for us, that we really managed to have for all courses over 50% of people from low and middle income countries. And that's I think it's a good number, and it shows it's nicely distributed. But what's most surprising, that we had over 30% of Spanish-speaking people. So if any one of you is planning a course, I would highly recommend to use Spanish subtitles. It will pay off, because it's a huge potential for Central America, South America to take these kind of MOOCs, which really surprised us. Some more information I hope you can read. What we're not so happy about is the women-men ratio, and here I'm only taking the numbers of one specific course, which is our solid waste course. And here we can see that we have only 33% of women for the topic, which is solid waste management, and it's something we would like to improve in the future. And our course is displayed in blue and violet, while the Coursera average is displayed in gray. What you can see also is that we have mostly young people, young professionals, I would say between 25 and 44 years old. And it's also something nice about the MOOCs, that we have all kind of statistics about our learners, which helps us then to better or improve the courses in the future and target our learners better. Below you can see that 67% are not students, which was also surprising, but then we took it as a good sign to say that the course is also relevant for practitioners, because we see on the right side that over 75% have at least a bachelor's degree. So apparently our courses are attractive for people who studied already some years, and in most cases have already completed their studies. Yeah, that's already the insights. Then we have seen already Christoph on video. I hope he will still appear live, but I will continue until he comes. The pitfalls of MOOCs. Now, of course, working as a MOOC coordinator, I started with a lot of advantages and about the nice sides of the MOOCs, but it definitely has also its pitfalls. And the first one is that teachers can become so-called glorified teaching assistants, where they're not actually lecturing, but more or less administrate self-graded assignments behind the desktop, and it's a potential pitfall. I put the question mark because personally I think there are ways around to avoid that, but it's certainly something we need to consider, that we don't convert a teacher or a lecturer into assistants. Second point, really important. So also with the image of the empty room. So I think it's a wrong approach if we say a MOOC can replace a lecture on site, because you have we call it here in the bullet point the classroom magic, meaning you discuss a topic more in detail, you share a coffee afterwards, all these kind of things which are only possible if you meet face to face. It's simply not replaceable by a MOOC. So this one we can provide, and I think it's highly important for a good education that not everything is online and learned by yourself, but you're really sharing this group experience. What's also missing is like these hands-on practical exposures, meaning, for example, having a lecture about a theoretical lecture about the topic, and then going the next hour to a lab, and to have this really hands-on practical exposure directly with supervision of a teacher who can give you direct feedback on spot. Not possible with the MOOC alone. Then also the strengths of the MOOCs is also a weakness. So the broad audience also makes it necessary to have a let's say not a tailor-made education. So it's impossible to make tailor-made education for such a broad audience like a MOOC audience. In our case, we always see it with the case studies, where we try, for example, to include a case study from Africa, Asia, and Latin America. However, it's not possible to make it more tailor-made. Oh, here the same. If you have a teacher in your city, it will be always more tailor-made than if it's directed from one single university to a global audience. And the last part, the self-motivation. There, I think we also seen it with the dropout rates. So if you have 90% of dropouts, means that the motivation is a challenge for these kind of courses. You don't have your peers who motivate to continue. You don't have the professor who requests you to attend the seminar next week. It's clearly a challenge. So here we are with the pitfalls, and I would like then to continue with the next wave of e-learning. And then I'll be glad, of course, then to discuss soon with you. The next wave of e-learning, from our point of view at least, is about collaboration. So we have the MOOCs with the strengths I've shown, also with the weaknesses, and we believe that there are ways around to avoid these weaknesses with collaboration. So in our sector, it's mainly collaboration with training institutes worldwide and with universities from Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And there are like three concepts. The one is the flipped classroom. The second are small private online courses. And a third line is the so-called certificate of open studies. And I would like to show you in 3 slides what these terms mean or how we interpret them. A flipped classroom, you can see here some images of University in Ibadan in Nigeria, where a professor takes our modules, our videos, and embeds them into their course. So that's nothing new, which is only possible with MOOCs, but MOOCs can be an ideal platform for students, for professors, to really cover one part of their lectures with some nicely produced videos. So in this case, it was a lecture about DALIs, and I think there are not too many ways to explain DALIs per se, like the basics, but then there is a lot of room for discussion. That was exactly what this prof in Nigeria made. So she showed the basics on screen, and then she opened the room for discussion. Another option for flipped classroom is that the professor actually gives a MOOC or part of a MOOC to students to watch them at home. and then really uses the classroom to only make debates or only make a practical hands-on lessons and or do lab visits. So it's really a complement of existing education. And I think it's a really powerful combination. But not exclusively for MOOC. It can be any video lecture can be combined in that way, and that has been done since many decades, actually. But I think it's important to merge MOOCs with these kind of setup. Then the second one is the SPOC. So it's a new acronym, and it's full of acronyms anyway, but this one is Small Private Online Courses. And there we say small is beautiful. So it's not always about numbers. So really to provide the education to a certain selected group and be more precise, be more tailor-made, and provide them with what they actually need. Also have a different ratio between lecturer and learners. So for us, we try to involve as most as possible in the forums, but if you have 10,000 students, of course, you cannot answer questions on an individual level constantly. However, it's possible with these kinds of courses, which are online constantly, also available, but then you select a group of 20, 30 people. Let's say you take a part of a sanitation MOOC, but it's then you focus on refugee camps, let's say, and you make it tailor-made, or you have all your audience are engineers, and then of course you can have a different level of certain elements of the course as when you just then launch it to a really broad audience. The last one is the COST. Another acronym, it's the Certificate of Open Studies. And one element we always have the feedback that we give our statements of accomplishment, but they're actually not, let's say, embedded into the curriculum of local universities. So then it's a nice statement of accomplishment, which might be useful or not for the CV or career development, but it doesn't provide credits. So this Certificate of Open Studies shall allow to provide a certificate which is recognized by a local university, or provide a certificate, for example, from a European university who's involved in the project. It works like as follows. So people watching the MOOCs online, as every other MOOC student, and finalize it with an exam. If they pass the exam, they're allowed to access an on-site exam, which is then supervised directly on spot. And they are allowed then to start a capstone project with the local university, which is coached and supervised directly on site. This one, as I mentioned, is embedded in existing university curricula. It's not free at the moment, but I think there are also ways to look for subsidies or scholarships. But I think these three elements are not revolutionary, no one of them, but they're really nice complements to the actual MOOC approach, and to bring down this massive education to more tailor-made education, or fill out gaps, for example, the certificate, then to have a better learning experience, or a learning which is more useful for a career development of a student. Last, I would like to show you a link of our partners. They have MOOCs Afrique, EPFL, so it's mostly in French, but they're one of the front runners, I would say, in testing and implementing these kind of courses. So that was really quickly an overview of what we're doing, what we experienced as pitfalls, as strengths of MOOCs. I hope I wasn't too fast running through my slides, but now I'm glad to talk with you and answer questions and discuss about e-learning. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for the presentation. I think it was very interesting, especially some of these mixed or hybrid approaches. I've turned on microphone rights for participants. So if you have a question you'd like to ask, you can either speak up or you can write something in the chat window, and I'll try to take the questions as they come. I have a question to start. With such a large number of people who are participating from around the world, how do you ensure that the the course is relevant to different scenarios, and what the students are learning is actually applicable to where they might be located.
Yeah, that's try to point it out. It's not possible for us to make a course which is relevant for each context. So that's why we also work mainly with introduction courses. So we say, for example, let's say how, again, the example of composting. For example, how composting works, or for example, we present innovations in a sector. I think that's an interesting fact for everyone in the world. Let's say, for example, the waste management with flies. I think it's interesting to know, but for example, work only in certain conditions, certain temperatures, but it's certainly not relevant then for a concrete application for everyone. So we cannot make a relevant course for the whole world, but give just basics. Or then we also call our MOOCs appetizers. So if we manage with our course to appetize, to make people reading further literature, then we're already happy. Yeah.
Great. So you're welcome to use your computer mic if you have it connected and enabled, but I'll also take some questions from the chat. So we have a question from Eddie Perez, who asks, how much did it cost to develop this urban sanitation MOOC, and where did the funding come from?
Yeah. So here I hear this question a lot. How much does the MOOC cost? And it's always a bit difficult to answer, because we have it depends a bit on with what you start. If you already have a studio, if you have an in-house video editor, yeah, how long will the MOOC be? Therefore, it's a bit difficult. How much Coursera requests you to pay? I would roughly say between $50,000 to $200,000. But that's that depends where you are, how you produce it. So you can set up a MOOC studio for, I would say, $7,000, or you can set up one for $250,000. But I think you probably need to have, I would say, $50,000 to make a course.
We have a question from Nat, and if you'd like to provide some more information, you can change your info so we know who you are. But he or she is asking, who are you hoping to attract with these courses? Practitioners, but also amateurs. And actually, that was interesting that you pointed out that it was actually not necessarily undergraduates, but people with some existing degrees. So yeah, who are you trying to target, and are you looking to change that kind of audience that you're getting?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the question. I think our target audience is practitioners, but also students in low and middle income countries, plus WASH experts in the whole world. But then, for example, for WASH experts, for example, mostly our feedback is that they take selected classes, because most of the basics they already know, but they might not know in detail about the new innovation which we present. So we would like to maintain our target audience broad, and also maintain the level always as introduction courses, because it's just more feasible to satisfy the needs of more people than with more specialized. And for more specialized or courses, then we would like to use this box, where we might use some of the MOOC videos, but then also produce really separate videos for this topic.
So we have another question here from Nashin, who's asking if you're taking steps to address or to increase the active students, or the number who are actually completing the course.
Yeah, so we try to do this firstly with some pedagogical elements. So with in-video quizzes, we try to make courses which are, we don't want to have students leaning back and enjoying, but rather lean in. So we ask for them to answer questions from time to time with pedagogy. And then otherwise, yeah, I think it's constantly improving the courses, mainly listening to what are the feedbacks, why are students dropping out. Yeah, so that's the most concrete I can say for that. But of course, we always would like to go higher in the completion rate, but then it's also cases, the easiest way to to have a higher completion rate is make less exams or less quizzes. So when we also would like to have a certain level of exams and quizzes that you don't get the statement of accomplishment without any effort. Yeah.
Great. So, and like I mentioned before, if you'd like to turn on your webcam and your mic so we can see you, you're welcome to do that. We have a question from Adis from Ethiopia. He or she's asking how you promote these courses so that stakeholders, WASH stakeholders, are aware of them. And I have a question that's maybe linked to that in terms of whether there's opportunities to involve more universities from some of the places that are in Africa or Asia to actually involve other universities, because it seems like there's a lot of focus on MOOCs, on having a very prestigious institution be running the course, and maybe that would encourage other participants if there were perhaps universities where they're located who were involved in putting the course together.
Yeah. So thank you. So for the first question, we had the approach to say we put 100% of our budget into production and management of the course, and we don't spend money on PR. So what because we just said we want to first produce good courses and then maybe make huge advertisement campaigns. So we're using just our networks. We produce fact sheets, but we don't have like let's say a real global PR strategy with a huge budget. So we think it's also through our friends, colleagues around the world. We try to disseminate as much as possible, try to engage them to help us to get the word out. And because the nice thing about the MOOC is for free, and you can drop out anytime you want. So you don't need to commit. It's actually many of the people that just also want to try it out. That's mainly through our friends and colleagues in the world that we're making advertising. But we can definitely improve. The second one, it's highly welcome that universities, training institutes all around the world contact us to collaborate. And I think there is just a real advantage of MOOC, that we are glad we have all the materials are open source to start a small collaboration, which could be that the university provides us with feedback, maybe share some images, but it's no need, for example, from us to buy the course if you want to use the course as a university, please use it or contact us, and we can even see how we can support maybe with our experience this initiative. So please welcome. If my email is hopefully displayed, then you can also write me right after this webinar if you're interested in collaborating in any or the other way. So that's welcome.
Great. Francisca, I see you have your hand up, so if you wanted to ask a question, go ahead.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. I guess my question is around evaluation. You've got a lot of numbers of dropout rates and completion and the number of practitioners versus students and that kind of thing. And you've probably got qualitative information on what people experienced and what they learnt. But I guess as it's a MOOC for development, I'm wondering whether you've looked at some of the flow-on effects, like as a result of doing this course, someone learnt some information that allowed them to improve their practice. I guess that's kind of what I'm wondering, whether you have any of that sort of evaluation.
Yeah, I didn't understand the last part, but sorry, it's about our evaluation scheme, how we evaluate the
evaluation.
Yeah. So and you mentioned
sorry, of flow-on effects, like a student gaining information that allowed them to then improve their practice, and thus have results in like improved urban sanitation or something like that. Do you have that sort of evaluation? Thank you.
Yeah. So what we do, then we always have like this quantitative numbers from Coursera, and then we have like a final survey where, of course, most of the people who take the survey also completed the course. So it doesn't really cover the whole 100% of enrolled students, but it gives us nice feedbacks of happy and not so happy students, which are really useful. And there we ask them if they think at the moment of finalizing the course, if it's relevant, if they're a student to their studies, or if they're a practitioner to their work. So we don't have really post MOOC data, but we just try once they finalize to get at least a feeling from them. Yeah.
Thanks.
And it varies a bit on the course. Then also depends if you're a solid waste manager and it's a solid waste MOOC. Of course, it's more relevant than if you're, let's say, or if you have any other profession and you take this because you would like to try out vermicomposting in your garden. Yeah. Thanks for the question.
So we have another question here, and maybe if there's people who are listening who have a response as well, you're welcome to speak up or to write your own experience. So do you think that these MOOC certificates are recognized by employers or by others? And so is this a valuable investment for people?
It's a question for me or for?
Well, it's for you, but if anyone else has experience in other MOOCs, or if you've done a MOOC and you got the certificate, has it been a valuable experience?
Yeah, from our feedback, from our experience, yes, because then we normally Coursera they charge now $49 for each certificate. So we say no, our course should be 100% free. So we established a mechanism that we give out the certificates for free, so we have control over the process. And there is a huge demand for this, we call them statement of accomplishment. And if you're like 1 week delayed, we have like 100 people writing, where is my statement of accomplishment? So it's really a huge demand, and people want to be acknowledged what they've done. And I think from our experience, yes, it's important. It doesn't substitute not a university lecture, also because it's just 5 weeks, but I think it's a really nice complement for every CV to show that your interest in the topic goes further than just mandatory classes in your university. So I think yes, but of course not as a level yet with this with university lecture. This one will change with the cost, with the certificate of open studies, where then is really formally linked to the career of the people. And here we have also Christoph, and I would just like to answer one question I saw in the forum where someone wrote about video lectures of 30 to 60 minutes. And here in our experience, we said all our videos should be below 6 minutes, which is maybe if you plan to start video education, that you reduce as much as possible your amount, split your modules, because the attention span for video-based learning is around 6 minutes. Then, of course, most of our topics, then the lecturers say 6 minutes is not possible. I need at least 20 minutes, and then somehow we find a compromise and make 10 minutes, 12 minutes. But ideally, if you can, I would recommend to really split the modules. And I would like to welcome Christoph.
Hi, everybody. These are questions coming.
Yeah, but Sarah is moderating. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we only have a few more minutes, so I will just take maybe a couple more questions here. There are some questions about how much time is required to take the course in terms of like a learner, how much of their own learning time would be required.
Okay, so that depends on the time that they have available. Usually it's 1 hour of video watching per week, and additionally further reading would be maybe another hour or so. Maximum 3 to 4 hours is our experience, what would be needed. And then at the end for the preparation of the exam. So it could be done on the job, because most people do watch these videos on the weekend and download.
And I see that actually there's a lot of people who have been developing similar types of courses or modules, and I'm wondering if there's ways of better sharing this information, or helping people to become aware of the different options that are out there, because we see some examples here. I've seen people writing in the chat that they've been involved in different types of e-learning modules, maybe different from a MOOC, but some other kind of online learning. So it would be great to have a better idea of what's out there.
Yeah, I think there are certain already established mechanisms, and from our side, of course, it's always welcome to learn exchange bilaterally. And then there are also the conferences of the MOOC players of Coursera, where all the institutes meet, and there are coordinators, professors, students meeting together. I can also say from our partners from EPFL, they're more on the production side. They also have this MOOC-Afrique initiative, which I showed briefly. So they're also really willing to share the knowledge. So I don't think there is like an attitude of everyone does his work in its own garden. But the vision, at least from our side, is really there to collaborate. But don't know like of a real exchange platform other than in our case than Coursera itself.
A little question about whether you can go in after a MOOC is over and look at it as a record in order to refresh your memory. Is that possible?
Yeah, exactly. So for example, with the new format that the course is constantly online, let's say you can sign up for a session which starts in a week. Then you can pre-watch the first week. So you can already start learning, watching, getting an impression. You do your MOOC, ideally within 6 weeks. If that's not possible, you can jump to the next session. And then again to the next session. So, and then from this moment on, you have always access to the MOOC, as long as it's online. In our case, for example, the idea is to have them online constantly, and then would be for the next 10, 20 years that this MOOC is available. Otherwise, we offer the videos also on YouTube. So if it's there, you don't have the whole course interface, you don't have the quizzes, you don't have the forum, but the videos are always there.
And you also saw, I mean, our effort now is to try to keep them alive and updated, so that we constantly also add new material, new videos, new case studies as we go along. This will be the case also in the next course that starts mid-October, which we're doing together with the World Bank, which will also include new materials, sanitation safety planning, bank tools that they're using.
Is it possible to see the list of participants when everyone?
Not for outsiders.
But no, if you register, can you actually see who else is involved, or is that confidential?
Yeah, this was from our point of view was better before, because I could see from every single student. I could see his performance. If he had a question about an exam, which was urgent, I could check his performance in this exam, where could be the problem. And Coursera has started to be restrictive on that. So we personally, we don't know the names of our participants. Yeah, we don't have the data. So what we do, for example, for our statement of accomplishment, we ask the students who passed if they give us allowance to send them an email, and if yes, that they please share their names with us. So we only know their names when they write on the forum. There it's personal. Yeah.
I think that has also shown the more active a forum is, the more exchange you also have across different countries, across different institutions. That's usually one of the added advantages of doing the forum.
What we have done, for example, then we open LinkedIn groups for the course members, where we're not depending on Coursera rules, and where we have more freedom to.
I'm just wondering how that might impact the percentage that go to completion. Because one of the problems we have with these webinars is that they're very impersonal. We try to make them very personal, and most of the other ones are like radio programs. So if you don't feel like you're part of it at the start, you can get less active and maybe drop out. So it's kind of the dealing with the ego, you know. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue about the high dropout rates. I mean, of course, you know, if you have 12 to 18,000 participants, there's limitations what you can do interactively. But that's why I think the next step for us would be to try to come to smaller audiences and more interaction, smaller captive audience.
Yeah.
Anything
Great,
else?
thank you. I think we're running out of time.
And what
Did you want to make a final comment
yeah.
before I close things?
From my side, thanks. And thanks for listening. I hope I didn't run too fast through all the slides. Yeah, if you would like to contact me, I'll type in my type in my email. And if you have any questions, if you would like to collaborate, if you have more questions, I'll be really glad to answer them together with Christoph. I would like to say thank you. I was really happy to see all the different countries appearing, also in the question now, but already in the participants list. So that's always nice. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, from my side.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and looking forward to hear from you.
Great, and thanks everyone for joining today. And I want to remind you as well that this is a monthly webinar series. So we welcome you back next time. And if you'd like to share what you're working on, some of your projects, then please get in touch with me. And I hope that you'll be joining a MOOC soon as well to improve your learning. We're going to turn off the recording now. If there's anyone that has just a few burning questions they want to keep asking in the chat, you're welcome to do that. But the webinar is now closed. So